The worn leather of the suitcase felt rough against Elara's palms. Each zipper pull, each creak of the frame, echoed the symphony of anxieties playing in her head. Leaving was supposed to be liberating, a fresh start, but as the taxi lurched forward, carrying her away from the familiar chaos of her old life, a wave of dizziness washed over her. She'd left her job, her apartment, even her beloved cat, Mr. Bigglesworth, in the care of her sister. All for this, a tiny, overpriced studio in a city she barely knew, a job interview scheduled for tomorrow, and the gnawing fear that she was making the biggest mistake of her life. The city lights blurred into streaks of neon as the taxi sped along the highway. Elara pressed her forehead against the cool glass. The city, a dazzling alien landscape. She'd spent years chasing the approval of others, building a life that looked impressive on paper but felt hollow inside. Now she was adrift, a leaf on a stormy river, uncertain where the current would take her. Days turned into weeks. The job interview was a disaster. The studio, despite the exorbitant rent, felt claustrophobic. Loneliness, a constant companion, gnawed at the edges of her sanity. One evening, curled up on the threadbare rug, tears streamed down her face. "What was I thinking?" she whispered, her voice hoarse. Then something shifted, a flicker of defiance. "I can do this," she declared, wiping her tears. "I have to do this." The next morning, she woke up early. Instead of dreading the day, she put on her favorite dress, the one that made her feel confident, not just presentable. She spent the morning exploring the neighborhood, discovering a hidden park, a quirky bookstore, a cafe that smelled of cinnamon and dreams. Slowly, tentatively, she began to rebuild. She found a part-time job at the bookstore, a haven of quiet amidst the city's clamor. She joined a yoga class, where the focus on breath and movement helped soothe her frayed nerves. She started writing again, pouring her anxieties and hopes onto the page. One rainy afternoon, while browsing the bookstore shelves, she stumbled upon a book of poetry. A single line, underlined in a delicate hand, caught her eye. "Love yourself, it is sufficient." The words resonated deep within her. For years, she'd been chasing external validation, seeking love and approval from the outside world. But what if, just maybe, the love she craved resided within her? The journey was far from easy. There were days of self-doubt, of feeling lost and alone. But with each small victory, with each act of self-compassion, a sense of strength bloomed within her. She learned to listen to her own voice, to trust her instincts, to celebrate her own unique journey. The city, once a daunting stranger, began to feel like home. The studio, once a prison, became a sanctuary. And the anxieties, though still present, no longer held her captive. She had found a new beginning, not by escaping her past, but by learning to love herself, flaws and all.